After his recent struggles, goaltender Ilya Samsonov is placed on waivers by the Toronto Maple Leafs, and we have insight on who the next goalie will be in Toronto. I'll get into that later on in this episode. Before I start, to everyone watching this that's not subscribed, make sure to go down, hit that subscribe button. We'll be here all season long giving you updates on the Toronto Maple Leafs and the rest of the NHL. But with that, I'll hop straight into the first topic, which is Ilya Samsonov placed on waivers. Now, this tweet did come out from Elliotte Friedman today saying that Ilya Samsonov has been placed on waivers. This is coming after a brutal loss against Columbus. He has been struggling in recent games, and it seems like Toronto is at the point that they're looking to make a change. Now, when you do look at Samsonov, in his games this season, in 15 games, he has 5-2-6 with an 862 save percentage, which, when you look at this, it's just not enough. This was a guy that Toronto had last season. He played phenomenal for him. He led them to the playoffs. He played outstanding in the first round, went down with an injury, and then hasn't found his groove since then. Coming into the season, we had him linked as the number one goalie. He lost the spot to Joseph Woll early on in the season. Joseph Woll did go down with an injury. Everyone really expected this to be Samsonov's time to just step up, prove that he's the number one, and take this net back, but then he loses it to third string goaltender Martin Jones in just a couple games. Now, with Samsonov going on waivers, this could mean multiple things. This could be maybe the team is hoping that he gets claimed on waivers, they clear up his $3.5 million in cap, and then they can move another player, another pick, whatever it takes to acquire a new goaltender. Or this could be the Leafs just hoping that it's the Jack Campbell situation where he doesn't get claimed, he goes unclaimed, heads to the Marlies, gets his groove back, comes back to the Leafs, and then is able to be that number one or number two goalie behind a guy like Joseph Woll. Now, the biggest issue with this is if he goes down, doesn't get his footing, it almost eliminates all trade value. I mean, at this current moment, he doesn't have the most trade value. I mean, we've seen just from the stats that he has been struggling mightily. This was due to his mental health, everything that he's dealing with. It's just a shame, really. This was a guy that had so much expectation coming into the season, had such a good year last year that he was going to build off, and it kind of just crumbled. And I do wish the best for this guy, but it seems like this could be his last time in a Toronto Maple Leafs uniform. Now, you kind of look at this and you say, who's the replacement? And Dennis Hildeby could be the next guy, and it could be his time to shine. Now, with Dennis Hildeby, he does have a 920 in the AHL with the Marlies. He's never played in the NHL itself, but overall, a 920 in just his 14 games played has been outstanding. This is a guy that is only 22 years old, stands 6'7". This guy's he's a monster in this net, really. He's dominated in every league he's played in. He's dominated in the AHL when coming over to North American ice, but it really comes down to, are they going to call him up? Now, Elliotte Friedman does say that the Toronto Marlies did make a call up from the ECHL, and that meaning that Samsonov clears waivers tomorrow. Dennis Hildeby may be the guy going to the Toronto Maple Leafs on the Californian trip. Now, I'm all for this. I mean, it can't get much worse than what Samsonov has been doing. Like I said, this was a guy that looked good coming into the season, had so much promise, and just could not hold his own. We've seen him lit up multiple times, including 5 goals on 11 shots to the Columbus Blue Jackets. He's been flailing around his net, and he hasn't been able to string together wins at all. We've seen a shutout against Nashville. Other than that, we haven't seen anything from him in the past 2 months. So, bringing up Hildeby, like I said, this could be a massive move for the Leafs. This could be a guy that comes up, absolute dominates. Maybe this is your backup goalie to Joseph Woll. Maybe he just gets you enough starts, enough backup games where you can get Joseph Woll back. Maybe you run a Joseph Woll, Martin Jones. But I do think there is a bigger move in picture. This Toronto team is looking to win a Stanley Cup. This is not just a, hey, we'll call up a guy, maybe he plays all right, maybe we squeak into the playoffs, win around. No. This team is looking to go for it all. And maybe Dennis Hildeby is the answer. Maybe he's a guy that gets you just till Joseph Woll's back. But overall, something has to give in Toronto. The forwards have been outstanding. We've seen Austin Matthews showing pure dominance. Nylander has been good. Tavares, Max Domi. There's so many forwards on this team that have been playing good that we can't just continuously lose games 6-5, 5-4, whatever it may be. This is a team that should be in the President's Trophy race. This should be a team top in the Atlantic, top in the East, and they haven't been this because of the goalies. Now, along with this, there was another guy placed on waivers, and this is Eric Comrie. Eric Comrie is a Buffalo Sabres player, In his games this season, in 7 games, he hasn't been outstanding, which is an 863 save percentage. This is a guy that has kind of struggled for Buffalo as well. As you can see, he was a former second round pick by the Winnipeg Jets, and he did have some good years throughout the NHL. You see him with the Winnipeg Jets just in 2021, 2022. He did have a good season. He had seasons with the Devils, the Wings, the Jets again. It's just this guy hasn't been able to make it work in Buffalo. Buffalo isn't known as a strong defensive team. I mean, the Leafs haven't been in recent years, but this year overall, plus what they might be adding at deadline, I do consider them a better defensive team than Buffalo, and one of the better defensive teams when you just look at the name and the personnel they have on the back end. So maybe Eric Comrie is a guy the Leafs might put a waiver claim on. This guy with just a $1.8 million cap hit. This is the last year of his deal. Like I said, he is just 28 years old. He does still have some years left in the tank. So maybe this is a guy that the Leafs just kind of look at and say, hey, Samsonov has not worked out. If we can put him in the minors, if that clears up that $1 million, we only need to use $800K of extra salary that they do have from John Klingberg, Ryan Reeves being injured. Everyone on LTIR, there is a lot of cap just to work with. So maybe this is a guy that they kind of take a swing on. If it doesn't work, you can bury this guy, maybe trade him off, whatever it may be. I think they're going to look at their options. Like I said, this could be Dennis Hildeby coming in as the backup for Martin Jones at the current moment, maybe the backup to Joseph Woll once he comes back. Maybe they take a swing on Eric Comrie, and this is a guy that could turn a season around, be the perfect complementary piece to a guy like Joseph Woll. You still have Martin Jones floating around that can still be your second or third options if things do go completely south. But we're really relying a lot on Joseph Woll coming back from injury and continuing his dominant play. If he comes back and he's an average or a below average goalie, then you kind of get in a tricky situation of Samsonov not being able to play, or if he's claimed, or if they just leave him in the minors. A guy like Martin Jones, who did have a good year for Seattle, he has looked good for Toronto so far, but I'm not comfortable with running a 7-game series with him as a starter. You would put a lot of pressure on a guy like a 22 Hildeby, who hasn't had an NHL start yet. Maybe this is the Jordan Binnington thing where he comes in just after Christmas, dominates, brings the Leafs to the promised land, wins the cup. That would be a pitch perfect thing. That would be incredible. But it's a lot of pressure on this guy. And like I said with Woll, you put a lot of pressure on him coming back and continuing his above expectations of just being a dominant force. So this could mean the Leafs are looking for a trade. Maybe someone takes Samsonov. He doesn't go down to the Marlies. Frees up more cap space for them to work with. There's so many options and possibilities within the next 24 hours that it's just going to be a wild ride. Like I said, we could lose Samsonov. This could be a massive plan of a trade that's in the works, and they need to clear up this $1 million in cap space. Who knows what Brad's cooking? I think this is going to be a massive 24 hours, and it's going to change the Leafs quite a bit, in my opinion. But we'll have to see. Now, I'll get into everyone's favorite topic as well, which is comment of the day. And the comment of the day comes from Andrew. He says, Samsonov looked like he was going to have a mental breakdown during this interview. I feel bad for him. Some time in the AHL could really restore his confidence. I agree with this as well. Samsonov has been dealing with a lot of mental health. This is not a joke. Just a guy dealing with so much like this, it's hard to work with. There's so many people that's dealt with mental health that it's just hard to get your mind right. Hopefully he does go to the AHL. Maybe he can get his game back, come back to Toronto, dominate it again, lead us to a Stanley Cup. I think that would just be perfect for both the Leafs and him. But like I said, if he can't get his footing, this might be a Jack Campbell situation where we see him stay in the AHL for quite some time, or maybe he gets shipped off in a trade, or if he doesn't clear waivers. But what's your guys' thoughts? Do you guys think that the Hildeby is the next starting goalie in Toronto, that he can come up, dominate, run a tandem of him and Joseph Woll? Do you think Joseph Woll is going to come back and once again dominate, or do you think Martin Jones might slide in as the Leafs starting goalie? We'll get just let us know down in the comments while you're down there. Make sure to like, subscribe, share this with your friends. Like I said, we'll be here all season long, and we're here for the ride as well. So take care.